Hey there, Shrees here from Pieces Calligraphy. Thanks for tuning back in with me. In this video, I'm going to show you how I created these 4 styles here using this name, this beautiful name, Helona, and this is a student who will be in my workshop tomorrow. So I thought I'd go ahead and film my process in trying out different styles with the same word so you can kind of see what goes through my mind when I'm developing different techniques and just trying to experiment. Okay, so what I have here is tracing paper. This was really helpful for me to take a guide sheet that I printed out. So you can see this one here. I will link something similar down below. This is actually a really old one, so I don't really have the file for this anymore. It's something that I'm just savoring. And what I did for this middle one, for example, is I placed this tracing paper underneath. And sorry, I went out of order there. For this first one, okay, you're gonna laugh at how I did this. This is like a piece of scrap paper, but I just wanna show you, this is really behind the scenes, like how I operate. I'm trying to just be efficient, not waste paper, be resourceful. So my point is, I took this dot paper that was laying around and I actually placed that underneath here for the top word. And then what I did was I used those dots here as my guideline. So the great thing about tracing paper is it allows you to see underneath and write on top of it. And then when you take your paper away, you can see the words and letters without those guidelines. So it's just a pretty neat way to practice and get some words on there without those obnoxious guidelines. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a fresh sheet of paper here. So for that first one, like I said, I used this dot paper. You can see the dots right there. Ideally, especially if you're not used to writing on guide sheets, I would even take a ruler and highlight a line or two, especially just your X height. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and directly place my tracing paper on top. So see how this is the actual paper, this is the tracing paper. You can see the dots behind there. It's really convenient. Okay, so what I did was, and you guys, my body's actually faced like this way. So this sheet of paper is really rotated so that I can get that good angle. Okay, so I'm just gonna come over here and use those guidelines. And for that first style, what I did was I took print. You can kind of see how if you took away these connections in between, like this here, this light stroke, we're pretty much creating print, but I was just connecting them and also applying that thin and thick concept so that it's kind of a fusion between print and calligraphy. Okay, so a tip I would say here is to apply what you know with thin and thick. Okay, so thin up, thick down, and then using your knowledge of regular print letters, apply that thin and thick pressure to each letter. Okay, and then I basically connected the letters with a thin stroke. For that second version, that second variation, I pretty much did a traditional copperplate script. So if you're familiar with copperplate, you know that these letters are all based on the oval and it's at this very specific slant. Okay, so what I did here, I actually made this one pretty big. Just because I didn't measure out my ascender and descender spaces ahead of time. I really just let my pen tell me how many units I should go down, if that makes sense. And then because of that size, I found that these two boxes here, these two rows, formed my X height naturally. So then I just stayed consistent with that. Okay. Fun flourish. I've been practicing lately. Thank you, Nina, for your class. Okay, for these next two, and this is where I start to get uncomfortable myself because if you've been following me, you know my script is pretty traditional And so venturing off into modern land is what I call it, is a little challenging for me. Like, I didn't use a guideline here. I just kind of freehanded, and I purposely embraced going up and down that imaginary baseline. And then with this last one, I just really brought the letters out and elongated those connections. So I hope you can see what I did here. So for that first one, I just had fun with it. I wanted to bring that loop of that ascender from the H out and around here. But you'll notice something. I'm still employing or using the thin and thick mentality. That doesn't go away. And then you kind of want to have some consistency and rhythm. So the variations that you will see here are the baseline wasn't very consistent. I wasn't worried about these full pressure endings. Look at the N and the H, they have these pointed endings. Okay, so I just kind of had fun with it and broke the rules a little bit of the structure of these letters. And then for this last one, this is one of my favorite ways to make an H. And I kind of use this with a B also. And I don't know what happened to the shape of that. Look at my first one. And that's just the fun of letting loose and trying different styles. Like, it's never perfect the same way. And that's why I encourage you. Oh, I totally forgot to pull this out. We're gonna do this one again. That's why I just encourage you to really just experiment and keep on practicing and trying things out, because say this was someone else's work that I was trying to copy, and naturally without staring at this when I created this, I just came up with this naturally different loop. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to say is it's okay to look at others' work as inspiration and use it for practice, but then when you go to the paper on the blank page, be sure that you're trying to channel your own creative take on that style. Okay, so let's try this again. So I'm going to make that connection really drawn out. I still keep the letter itself pretty tight together because I don't want the actual letter to be pulled out. See this N right here? It's still tight within its space, but what's drawn out is that connection from the H to the A to the L, just like that. Okay, so I ended up having more designs than I started with. So let's go back to my original example, just because I wanted to sort of have this little survey on what your favorite style is. I asked this on Instagram. I'll link down to that exact post below in case you're interested, and I'd love for you to follow me there. I post more of my work, but I just wanted to see which one do you like the best, 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you can even tell me why, or you could just tell me number 1, number 3, whatever, and leave that in a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. And while you're at it, I'd love if you subscribed to my channel, just because I'm planning to put out more videos at least once a week. If I do any more, then consider that a bonus. But my goal for the next, I don't know, for the rest of the year is to pretty much just be sharing more on this channel. And that's all I have for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a break to cut up my name tags for my workshop. And if you would like to see that in a video, also let me know or give this video a thumbs up, just so I know that you're enjoying these, and hopefully I can bring out more types of content to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and film myself creating those name tags, but let me know if that's something you actually wanna see, because if not, I don't wanna post it and waste your time if it's not something you're interested in. And otherwise, I think I'm rambling. This is the longest video I've done in a while. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye. So I was trying to decide on what style for tomorrow, and look what happens when I don't use a guideline. Let's just call it modern.